This is a tutorial for 360 video player, and we're going to start from a completely brand new project. I am using Unity 5.6, and this has the native Unity video player, and we'll use that. We're also going to look at using Unity 5.4.2 before the video player component, and using EasyMovieTexture with that. So to start with, let's start on 5.6 with the native Unity video player component, and I'm going to go ahead and import the 360 video player package, and I'm just going to import everything. When it imports, you may or may not see an error about QuickTime. So you're going to see here in my console it says movie importing requires QuickTime to be installed, and that's not actually true. I don't have QuickTime installed, and QuickTime was actually causing a problem for me where the QuickTime tools.exe was crashing. So I've uninstalled QuickTime, and that seems to work okay. Now the first thing you're going to want to do when you import the pack is move the streaming assets folder to the root of the assets folder. So I'm going to drag it there, and now the streaming assets is of course a root, a child of the assets folder, and all of our video files are going to go into here. Before I go any further, I probably should expand to the documentation folder and open up the documentation to make sure that I'm doing everything right. So if I go to the initial setup, I can see that the first thing I need to do is move the streaming assets, and then it says open up a new scene. Now there is a demo scene, of course, so we can take a look at the demo scene. Now here we could just hit play, and this would work. We could use the video wall, play into the 360 video. The quality's not great in here because it's a really low resolution video, and I wanted to keep the file size small. Of course, 360 video is pretty large, so obviously use higher quality video for your project if you want. But everything's working here in the demo scene. However, we're going to start from a brand new scene. And starting from a brand new scene, first let's delete the main camera and the directional light. We may want a directional light or some type of lighting, but I'm going to assume we don't want any of that. And we also don't want a sky because we just want to render some movies here. So now that there's nothing in the scene, I'm going to say create UI video player 360. Now if you just want a video player and you don't want the video wall, create the video player 360, and then you can press play. The default media player controller has all the settings here, and it's set to play 2 movies. Now you could set that to a single video, but let's hit play, and you can see here that there's no video wall icon, and there is a next button. So if we come here, we set this to a single video, and I hit play, we could see that now there's only a pause and a play button and a time scrubber because there's only one video. So you can set this up how you like it. And if we wanted to make a video wall, we would say UI video player 360 new video player 360 wall. This creates both the 360 player, and we can configure that here. And it creates the video wall, and we can configure that here. So now I can press play, and we have a new video wall that we can set up. Now if I want to, if I look at my media player controller, it says it's set to Unity Movie Player, and Unity Movie Player is the only option available because this is Unity 5.6 and that is available. However, if I were to go to the asset store and get EasyMovieTexture, I could switch this option to EasyMovieTexture instead of using the Unity video player. So I could import this in, and then I'd be able to switch this video player type over to EasyMovieTexture in Unity 5.6. However, in Unity 5.4 there is no Unity video player, so the only solution here is EasyMovieTexture. So we would have to get EasyMovieTexture. Now we don't have to do that first, but we will get a warning when we import the Unity package. And again, I'm using Unity 5.42, but this applies to any Unity version below Unity 5.6 where there is no Unity video player component. I'm going to go ahead and import the asset, And so let's go ahead and open up the demo scene. Well, first move streaming assets into the root folder of assets, and then get a little bit more room here. Let's open up that demo. Now if I go to my Video Player 360 and select the Media Player controller, I'll see that there's no video player type. So if I hit play here and I try to play on a video, there's just a white screen, and we get a warning here. Failed to initialize new video controller instance. Please ensure that a valid video player 360 it requires EasyMovieTexture or Unity 5.6. So again, you're going to have EasyMovieTexture or video player the Unity 5.6 video player component, so that you could select one out of this menu. And right now I don't have either, so there's no option there. So let's go ahead and import EasyMovieTexture. Okay, now I should be able to clear my console, and I can see the EasyMovieTexture is already set. Now, some of the technical behind the scenes stuff here, this is using the scripting defined symbol EasyMovieTexture present because it's detected the EasyMovieTexture plugin. However, if we go to the Media Player controller, we have the EasyMovieTexture selected. Now if I were to hit play and select the video, instead of having just that white, EasyMovieTexture goes ahead and plays the video. And here I can go back to the video wall and select which video I want to watch. And again, the same thing applies to Unity 5.6, even though I have Unity Movie Player selected here in Unity 5.6. If I want to use EasyMovieTexture, I'm just going to go ahead and import that. And now because EasyMovieTexture imported, it actually automatically sets it to EasyMovieTexture. But now you can see I have both options available. And using EasyMovieTexture, if I hit play, it's going to use the EasyMovieTexture to play the video. So right now it's using EasyMovieTexture. However, if we switch this over to the Unity Movie Player and hit play, now it's using the Unity 5.6 video player component. And you can see here. So now let's look at the variables. There's basically two scripts, and the documentation covers this really thoroughly. But the media player controller script, let's just go through what these are real quick. Of course, the movie video player type is which video player you want to use, and then whether it's a multiple or single video. And again, when it's on single video mode, you don't have the next or the previous buttons, so it there's just the pause. And a video wall doesn't make sense with single video, really. But that's what we got here. So then you just put your file name in, and that has to be in the streaming assets folder. So you can see I got my file name there in the streaming assets. The target is what renders the video. And if you go to the in your face, Video Player 360, models folder, you'll see that there's 3 spheres. I made them 5,000 triangles, so they should have a pretty nice UV with no stitching on your 360 video. But the 361 is for monoscopic video. This is for stereoscopic left eye, and this is for stereoscopic right eye. And you'll if I were to bring in, for example, the left and the right eye as a child, next here to the 360 screen. I'm going to turn those off. And this is the left eye of a stereoscopic video, and this is the right eye of a stereoscopic video. Stereoscopic video is not supported yet. That's going to be in a future version. So right now you'll see that the target is the monoscopic, and we're using monoscopic video. However, if I were to set the target to a different screen, and these need to be turned off. Okay, they are. I'm going to break prefab instance. So now the target is the left eye. So if I press play, it's going to render the movie onto the left eye. Now, if I do that, it's going to look messed up because we're taking a monoscopic video and we're stretching it onto one stereoscopic eye. So it doesn't look right. We need to set the target back to what it should be, which is the 360 player. This is for all monoscopic video. So now that this just is what game object or mesh the movie plays on. Now play on start, of course it's going to play the movie when it starts. And then we have the menu options, whether it's gaze trigger or input fire 1. Right now it's set to gaze trigger, and that means that when I look down, it's going to trigger the menu. So when I click, and a click for, you know, a VR headset is tapping, input fire 1 is tapping on the Gear VR headset or clicking on the cardboard button. So that's not doing anything because I have gaze trigger set. Gaze trigger is when you look down, it shows the menu, and when I look away, the menu goes away. And how the gaze trigger works, you can customize that because this sphere right here, which is the trigger menu, is what opens up the menu whenever the gaze looks at it. So if you want to make it so that you have to look further down, you can move this down or even make it smaller, and that would mean that you have to look even further down to, and doesn't seem like I could actually even look at that one. Maybe it was too far away. So if I just scale it down like this, that will make it down so that you have to look further down for that menu to open. Oh, and I'm not in a video. That's why it's not opening. So in a video, so now you can see I have to look even further down. So you can customize the gaze trigger. By default, it's kind of in this position and that size, so you have to look down to this angle to trigger the menu opening. And if you want to open up the menu a different way, you could open it up by just tapping that button, input.fire1. That option's been set here, input fire 1. So now when I just click that button or do it input fire 1, the menu will open up and it disappears when you look away. If you want to customize how it disappears when you look away, you just need to modify the size of the canvas. So let's go take a look at this. You'll see the white line all the way around it. That's the canvas. So this is a prefab and it's been spawned. Well, the panel media player is the white line, and when the gaze leaves this white line, the menu closes. So if you wanted the menu to stay open for longer, you could make the well, that's not going to work very good, but you could make the size of this bigger. Whoops, not that one. It's the canvas itself, and on the canvas itself you set the width and the height. So I could set the width to 800 and the height to 800, and if I did that, then the menu won't close until I look way up here. Or I could make that canvas even smaller, all the way down to, let's say, 400. All right, let's go down to 300, and then it's going to close as soon as I look right there. So you can modify the size of the canvas as far as customizing how it closes. Now let's go back to the script. We got the menu prefab. This is the prefab of the menu itself. So this is the canvas that I'm talking about. You can modify these values right there, or modify this prefab. And the next variable is the menu spawn position. That's menu spawn position. This should be a child of the main camera. So right now it's right here, and this is going to make more sense if I go into play mode, into a video sphere. So the menu gets spawned at this location. So if you want to, right now it's going to spawn right here. So if I click the button, you'll see the menu spawns right there. So this, you can customize where the menu is closer, farther away, so by just moving this menu spawn position game object. So if I were to move it all the way to the edge of the sphere and then open the menu, you can see that it's way over there now. So this should always be a child of the main camera, because the menu spawns at a position relative to essentially where the player is looking. So it should be a child of the main camera, and that's what this menu spawn position variable is for. The next variables here are just the icons. Icon, play, pause, next, previous. So if you look at the menu icons, there's a bunch of sprites set up here because it's in multiple sprite mode, and those are the icons. So if you want to change the icons, you could, instead of changing the sprites, all you got to do is come in and drop a new sprite onto the position here, and that's what's going to spawn on your menu. Now the next part we want to look at is the video wall. This shows how to set that up. We already know how to do that, so we just need to go through the variables. Let's look at the video wall, and I'm going to collapse everything. We have two sections, videos and unit config. The videos configures each video unit, and then this configures how everything responds. Not each one individually, but how they all respond. So first of all, right now it's only set up to support these 6 videos. It's not going to be hard to expand that, but for this first release, this is what we have. So I can put 6 videos in, and that lets me configure up to 6 videos. Each one of these is going to represent a whole entire video wall unit. So looking at the first one, it needs a file name, and this is the file name of your movie in the streaming assets. It needs a thumbnail sprite, and this is the 16 by 9 sprite that you have to pretty much make yourself an import for each video. We don't have a automatic thumbnail generation system or anything like that yet, so you got to make a JPEG or something, bring it in, set that as a sprite, and that's what this thumbnail is. So looking at the video wall, it needs a thumbnail sprite, and then there's title, and this again is going to only make the most sense in play mode, because the description text is only visible when you look at a video wall unit. So we have title, which is here, and these are just strings. We got a date and description text. And again, the description text is only showing when you look at the video wall unit. I'm going to change this back to multiple videos. And that description text, you can see, is only showing up there when we look at a unit. And for each one of 6 that you put in here, you're going to have to fill out all of these fields for each and every video. Obviously in the demo, a lot of this is just duplicated. Okay, the next thing to look at is the unit config. And I might as well go through this in play mode, because there's a lot happening on here. The rotation amount is the amount that the UI rotates. So you can see when, based on where I'm looking at the UI, it rotates. And so this is the amount that it rotates. This is the amount that it rotates on the X and the amount that it rotates on the Y. So you can change the amount of rotation there, and I have it set to 0.2. The next one is the background pan amount, and when I look from one edge to the next, the background image is actually panning. You'll notice that here I can see the dirt block, but when I move over this way, that dirt block's now invisible. So that is the background pan amount on the X and the Y axis. how much it's going to pan, and it's set to pan a little bit more on the Y than it is on the X. But you can configure that how you like. The next is the gloss pan amount. And you're going to notice there's this image, and if I go to the textures, gloss 16 by 9, there's this transparent image with this little gloss looking gradient on it. And that goes over each video wall unit. And that moves, and it actually pans in the opposite direction that the background image does. So you'll see that here it is, and when I look this way, it's panning in this direction. So the variable that we're looking at here is gloss pan amount. How much on the X and the Y that gloss overlay sprite is going to pan while you move the gaze back and forth. Okay, the next part here is the minimum size Y. And what that is the size of the video wall unit at its minimum size, which is when you're not looking at it. When you look at a video wall unit, the Y size increases, the X doesn't, so that it doesn't go over here. But the Y size increases. And so right now it's at a 90. This Y is at a size of 90. And when I look at it, it goes to 110. So this is the minimum size Y of this window when you're not looking at it. And when you look at it, it goes all the way up to its max size, which is set to 110. The next one is max position Z. And this is, by default, it's at 0 basically. And when you look at it, it moves on the Z axis. So it moves a little bit closer to the camera. Let's watch this top one here. You'll see that it's flush with all the other windows, and when I look at this, it becomes closer to the player. And that is because of this negative 0.2 offset. If this was a positive value, it would go in this direction. But we want it to come closer to the player, so we set it to a negative value. And that is the maximum position Z. The minimum is always going to be 0. So you can set the position when you're looking at it of the Z. The next is the description Y lower and the description Y upper. And that's the position of the description text. The description text moves. By default, it's at a position of negative 53. So if I look at this description text here, which is on the video wall unit, okay, here's the description text. So let's say testing. Okay, so we know that we're typing on the right one. And if I go back to the video wall script, the description Y lower is set to negative 53. So if I put this at a position of negative 53, it's too low. So you could see all these, when they're not being looked at, this is the position negative 53 of the description text. And when you look at a video wall unit, that description text moves up to the upper position. So again, the upper position is right here, negative 46. So obviously right here, this word testing is at a Y position of negative 46. And if I wanted to move it higher, I would set it to negative 40. And then when I look at the video wall unit, that description text is going to go too high and it moves up into the date text. All right, then the last one is the lerp speed, and this is how fast the menu open and close animations will play. So all these, you can see that all the movements are being smooth, they're being lerped, basically linear, interpolated, and this is the speed at which that is being done. So if I increase this to 10, you can see that everything performs a bit more snappy. And if I go to 100, it's probably won't look very good because everything's going to snap right into place. And at a 1, whoops, I keep clicking on it. And at a 1, everything's going to kind of slowly move around. So that's how the video wall works. And I hope this asset helps you out. Thanks for checking it out. And I'll see you guys in the next tutorial or video.